it was a good outlet for her, so I thought I would give it a try.
Yeah. Good for you. One thing I want to explain to you that we do, or that I do, is called cognitive-based therapy. And as we go through it the next several weeks, today will look differently than other sessions later on.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. Like the first initial session. Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to look a little bit differently. Just so that we can, I want to know what your goals are, like we'll get to know each other, those kind of things. Yeah. So, like first, you've kind of already told me several things that are going on in your world, but if you were going to pick out just like one of those, and it's, what would that be? I mean, I can tell you what I thought, but you tell me what you thought the major thing would be right now.
My major, I guess, goal would be to, get my degree. So, like, at this point, just like passing my classes, is my biggest stress, I feel like. Because, my job, I feel like I've kind of mastered that. I've, been in it for years, and, I have my routine kind of down with the kids, but it's just, this is a whole new ball game, adding in school.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it's like you've probably for a long time have been doing things back to back so routinely, and now you change up your routine, and it's kind of like a whole game changer for you and probably for your kids.
Throwing everything off kilter, you know. So.
Okay. Well, that sounds good. How about we pick just the one thing then to focus on is
passing class,
and like along with that, maybe like it sounds like a little bit of fear of failure.
Yeah,
with those classes, just based on something you've experienced in your past, kind of probably affecting the way you feel today.
Definitely.
Right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So, another thing we'll be doing too is just kind of like a mood checker. Like whenever you come in, I'll ask you like how you're feeling today, or how you were feeling the last few days. So today, for instance, if I was going to say, give me a spot where you're at on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being not so good, 10 being the best ever. Where would you say you're at as far as your feelings go?
Probably about a 4.5.
Okay.
And I would say today is probably a rougher day than most. I would say maybe I probably teeter on like a 5.5. Most days, like somewhat neutral, but not nearly like what I would want to be mood wise. But that I think is just because today's been particularly rough. I recently got a grade back in one of my classes, and it wasn't good. And I guess it kind of just brought back like a lot of those feelings from before of remembering getting poor grades and like how it ended up last time. And it's probably like disheartening also to like receive that. Maybe feel like you were set back a little bit by getting the bad grade. Okay. Definitely. All right. Also, I wanted to tell you too, like, I'll be writing things down like as we go, and it's really just so that I can remember and keep us on track with our one goal. That's okay with you. Okay. So good. So another thing, you already told me how you felt, which is great. You told me several things that brought you in here, and we've been able to narrow it down to one thing. Tell me some more about like what you want to accomplish in our few weeks of therapy, and like what you expect from the therapy sessions. Well, I find myself, behaving like my mood is like really irritable lately, and really just kind of like down in the dumps. And I would say that I'd want to work on that, like figuring out how to improve my mood. Because like I understand, I feel like my kids somewhat understand that I'm going through a rough time and that I'm trying to go back to school, but they're still little, they only understand so much, and all they kind of see is me being in a bad mood a lot. And so I really want to try and figure out how to, I don't know, deal with it in a certain way, because I know this is kind of like what I need to do, but I don't feel really motivated to continue and finish it because, of feelings coming up from the past and stuff. So I feel like I would want to, look at that and see if there could be anything I could do to help that. You said goals and expectations? So I guess it would kind of be somewhat a goal, and then Expectations. I honestly don't know a whole lot of what to expect. Like I said, I've only kind of just heard about the whole kind of like treatment process through, word of mouth. But I've heard that, like my friend, she said that, she feels a lot better about things now. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm hoping to see some improvement.
Okay, yeah, good. I can, I guess, tell you a little bit more about it, so maybe you can just think about it over the next week or so in between our next session. But along with, me asking you, like, your mood and how you're feeling and goal setting, we're also going to do maybe a little bit of homework if you're up for that, that I'll have you just kind of take on. I definitely don't want to throw anything at you more that you're already doing.
Sure. I understand.
A little bit overwhelming, maybe, also on top of that. But it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I can work up the chart for you if you can just fill it in for me.
Yeah,
maybe crumple it up, shove it in your purse or in your pocket, leave it in your car. Whenever you feel like.
If it's going to help. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Okay, good. So you're on board with that. Mm-hmm. Okay, good deal. That sounds good. So if we're going to go, let me go back to what you said a few minutes ago about the bad grade that you had, got this past week back from your teacher. Right. And it kind of brought up some old feelings. And then a minute ago you also said that you felt like because you've got that grade now, you may not pass, to continue passing.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so what do you feel like as far as how true that is?
Are you saying, how do I think that thought is rational?
Mm-hmm. And can you, maybe I should also word it, can you think of a time in the past, when you have passed, other tests, maybe in the same exact class that it was in?
I'm not necessarily passed. This is my first grade in this class. But I've definitely had other classes that I have passed before. Okay. Whenever I mentioned that I had flunked out, I had done well for a couple of semesters.
Okay.
But I had this one really bad semester where I had a lot going on, and that's whenever kind of everything plummeted. I guess I'm kind of feeling like because I have so much to juggle that I'm not going to be able to juggle it just like last time.
Okay.
So, yeah, there were definitely times in the past that I have passed classes and made good grades. Yes.
Okay. And what kind of things did you do to pass back then? If you would have had one assignment, whatever that may be, what was your schedule back then, and how did you pass that before?
One of the things I think made a difference is I had an agenda that I kept, a really good agenda during that time, wrote everything down, kind of had a daily checklist, that kind of thing.
Okay.
In comparison with, the semester that I didn't do so well, I had met a guy, kind of got wrapped up into that, got distracted, had a lot of stuff going on with that, probably didn't focus, was trying to work a job at that time too, just one thing after another, and the organization kind of just flew out the window.
Okay.
During that time, so I guess to answer your question, I was definitely more organized.
Okay. So organization is key for you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you think of anything else?
I remember back then, I had a lot of people in my life that were going through similar periods of life, that kind of thing. And I had mentioned to you about how I have a friend who also is a single mom, and she recently went back to school. So I guess I kind of am hoping that will also parallel, having somebody to kind of be in the same boat with,
Yeah, that you can relate to. And it probably helps, too, if she's made it, it makes you feel like, oh, I can do this also.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I guess so, yeah, whenever I think about it like that.
Okay, all right. Can you think of anything else that goes along with how things were different back then? Maybe your study habits or anything like that? Or the way that you studied?
Well, you mean in parallel to the time that I did poorly and the time that I was doing well? I did study with groups. That was helpful, and then I kind of quit doing that because I got wrapped up in the boy, you know, that kind of thing. So, studying in groups kind of helped at the time.
Okay, studying in groups.
Mm-hmm.
Organization.
Mm-hmm. And kind of like a support. I feel like were the things that really kind of helped me succeed during that time.
And your support system. And based on what you said earlier, you didn't have kids before.
Didn't have kids.
Didn't have any children, not one.
No.
Okay. So
I feel like, you know, at this point I'm kind of concerned because I know I'm not going to be able to have access to maybe like group setting as much. And things are going to be incredibly different than like a traditional student would kind of be going through, you know, with me being a mom and stuff. So I guess I'm kind of feeling like really triggered by that one semester where I just had everything kind of going on and I kind of got off track. I guess I'm really scared about like getting off track and especially getting that bad grade.
And falling back into
that
the same scenario.
Because once I started failing, you know, that semester, I just kind of like forget it. You know, I kind of shut down. I wasn't motivated at all. I just kind of quit trying. Completely.
Yeah. So it's already like a thought in your brain of I haven't been able to do it before, so I can't do it from this point on.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Good. There's this tool I want to show you. This is part of what your homework would be, if that's okay.
Sure.
We call it a dysfunctional thought record. And in our dysfunctional thought record, it is kind of geared towards to help us identify whenever we have a negative thought that comes into our brain. And if I ask you, what does this mean or that mean? If I tell you, what does it mean when you think about a beach? What kind of feeling do you have? What kind of emotion do you have?
So like an emotion connected to a thought. Okay, got it.
Yeah. So tell me, if I tell you to think about being on a beach somewhere in warm weather, what do you think of? Happy, okay. If you think about maybe a car accident, what kind of emotion do you have? Sad, okay, yeah. So along with this, another like tidbit to throw out there is every time we have an emotion, basically, or a feeling, there's like a thought connected to it, just like what we said. So that is the point of this thought record, is to help us identify when we have a negative thought, when to pinpoint it and what triggered it, and maybe how we can move on from there. Okay?
Okay, yeah.
So if you look at this chart, there's 6 categories here. Date and time, situation, whatever the automatic thought is, emotion, a response, and then an outcome. But for now, and probably the next 2 or 3 sessions, we're only going to focus on these first 4. So don't worry about these 2. And this looks a bit much, but we're not going to worry about these 2 for a while. So the first one is kind of self-explanatory, date and time, whenever maybe you had this certain thought or whatever it was that triggered. The situation, the first questions are, what actual event or stream of thoughts or recollection led to this unpleasant emotion? The second one would be, what, if any, distressing physical sensations did you have? So that can be basically exactly just what it says. What triggered you? What happened to cause you to have this automatic thought? The next one is, what thought or images went through your mind? And how much did you believe each one at the time? So if you see this example down here, they use like a percentage, and that's probably the best way I can think that's easiest. That seems pretty relative to everyone, to use a percentage. The next one is, what emotion did you have, and how intense was that? Again, with the percentage. So does that sound like something you would be willing to try for a couple, maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks? And again, like I said earlier, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You can fold it up, put it in your purse, leave it in your car, whatever you want to do to keep this really good.
So just whenever I notice I'm having a negative emotion, try and figure out what kind of thought kind of preceded it.
Yes, and how you can connect the 2 to each other.
Okay.
Does that sound good? Okay, great. So I'm going to give this to you. If you can work on this for me this week of whenever you start to feel overwhelmed and that you're going to fail this class, what triggered it, and what the percentage of that is.
Sure.
Okay.
So,
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.